still only halfway through the last episode 4 VOD.
Thank you for the resub. Welcome back to the tournament staff. 4 months of support. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. All right. This one goes out to all the Natsuhi fans. Did I not change my... I did not change my title onto it. Natsuhi episode. Who drew your YouTube profile picture? Which one is that? YouTube PFP is... Oh, that is, Honey Nuts. Let me find them. I think it's Honey Nuts. I'm not following them, though, so I have a feeling it's not. If I pull up Skeb... I can find it. I'm so sure. There it is. Oh, it was Honey Nuts. Okay, I was right the first time. Flash. I don't know why I'm not following them on. Okay. Couple of dolls to start the day. Vandal. Oh, 2015, 1.5 billion with a B views. I always think Taylor Swift when I see billions of views. $15. Not coming to me. Is this Taylor Swift? I Knew You Were Trouble? No. Oh, what is this? Is this oh god. 21 Pilots? This has a ton of views. This really was truly a ballad of 2015. Right, connection. Slice, bagel, loaf, forms of bread. No. Blessing, support, consent, approval. Yeah, these are daily puzzles. The dolls. Bagel. Wreath. Things with holes in the middle. Lifesaver. Tire. Donut-shaped things. Forest. Excuse me. Forest-shaped thing. Sneak Sliff. Wait. Myrtle? Alright, we'll do a Myrtle. That's appropriate for Umineko. Let's see. Whiff. Shank. Slice. Hook. Whiff. Oh, wait. Is this like comic book sound effects? No. Flip. Sneak. Loaf Wade. Slow movement method. Footwear minus the sound. Okay, yeah, that's definitely what I meant. Slice hook whiff shank. Comic book sound effects. Bad golf shots. Okay, very well then. Nailed it. Framed. Okay, another airplane movie. This looks like Top Gun. This looks like Pearl Harbor. This looks like Independence Day? What the frick is this movie? I don't know. Is that John Locke? I don't know this movie. Tears of the Sun. Yep. Would have never got it. Box office game. Box office game takes a little while, so I'm gonna see how this fits into the rotation. Paramount Pictures, $31 million, released May of 2002. Give me an actor. Ben Affleck, 2002. Paramount. There's something about Mary. No. That's Ben Stiller. Okay, hold on. Ben Affleck. Isn't that Good Will Hunting? Okay. Actor number 2, Morgan Freeman. Wait, was this? No, this couldn't have been Batman. Ben Affleck and Morgan Freeman. Tagline, 27,000 nuclear weapons, one is missing. Oh, this is some White House is in trouble movie, right? Reveal all hints. When the president of Russia suddenly dies, the man whose politics are virtually unknown succeeds him. The change in political leadership sparks American CIA. Blah, blah, blah. America's quick to blame Russia. I don't know, dude. The Sum of All Fears. Okay, ancient-ass movie. 20th Century Fox, 21 million. Second week was not nearly as good as the first week. Made 232 million total. This thing is massive. Starring Hayden Christensen. This would, of course, be Attack of the Clones. Yeah. It's not surprising its second week did not do nearly as well as its first week. Sony Pictures, 14 million. Down 50%. Oh, this was its third week. This was its fifth week. 353 million total. Sony Pictures, massive. Tobey Maguire. Oh, yes. Give me a Spider-Man 2002. Give me a Spider-Man 2. Crap. Spider-Man? Correct. Okay, Spider-Man 1. That's later than I thought it came out. I thought it came out a little earlier than that. Universal Pictures, 12 milli in its first week, so didn't do great with Eddie Griffin. Eddie Griffin, Universal. This can't be. Tagline, he's all action. Also has Chris Kattan. Oh, this is some friggin' Saturday Night Live direct to movie. It's called like The Love Doctor? No, that's the other guy. That's Tim Meadows. The Afro-American organization, the Brotherhood, is in permanent fight against the white organization, The Man, defending the values of black people in North America when the Afro-American candidate General Warren Boutwell behaved strangely in his presidential campaign. Is this Undercover Brother? Yeah, okay. I remember this movie. I never saw it. But yeah, that is certainly fitting of what I said before. And then DreamWorks, 11 mil, second week, did about half as good. Is this like Spirit? Matt Damon? DreamWorks with Matt Damon? The hell is this? Leader, hero, legend. The wild stat. Wait. It is Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. Damn it. I should have just went with my gut. I had no idea Matt Damon was in that shit. All right, Myrtle. Mystery puzzle. The mysterious murder at the fancy coffee shop. New to Myrtle, try the daily mini first. Oh no. Inspector Iritino had told Logico that Mondays were an acquired taste, but Logico thought he was joking. Take this one, for example. A barista had been killed in a fancy coffee shop. Investigate cards to learn more. Major Red, Dame Obsidian, Grandmaster Rose, Agent Fuchsia. These are the suspects. Each suspect brought one weapon. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Highlights Magazine, old, like, puzzles.
Tom Hanks approves this message.
Tom Hanks, shout outs to Tom Hanks. He was in the Daily Dozen, which I did the Daily Dozen at work today, so I can't do that one. Thank you for the resub, Bladecom. 31 months, a big support. Welcome back to the tournament staff. Much appreciated. Each suspect brought one weapon to one location, but only one was murdered today. Logico, as always, started with what we were certain about. A boiling pot was certainly not on the roots of an oak. Oh, God. Here we go. The mess... Okay, so... Got it. Okay. Holy moly. Okay. The messenger from the devout movement of the cryptic staff gave Logico the note that read... Oh, we can decoder ring it. How does this work? Oh, I see. It's like a cipher. It's displaced by some number of characters. Grandmaster Rose had a metal straw. Got it. Neat. Grandmaster Rose had a metal straw. Okay. So yeah, so one weapon, one person. So we know Grandmaster Rose had a metal straw, so that cuts all these out. A chip, the boiling pot was certainly not on the roots of an oak. So that means you would not find the boiling pot in the courtyard, is what that probably means. A chip of red clay was discovered under somebody's car. A brick. Brick was in the parking lot. A Leo was in the bean room. Leo was in the bean room, so we got to learn about their birthdays. The water detector gave a positive reading on Agent Fuchsia. Agent Fuchsia was in the bathroom. The murder took place under a paper towel dispenser. You click the cards, it gives you more info. The card? Oh, these. Okay. Major Red, a revolutionary leader who freed Draconia. He's left-handed, brown eyes, brown hair, Aries. Okay, Dame Obsidian is a Leo. Dame Obsidian is the only Leo. So, a Leo was in the bean room. Dame Obsidian was in the bean room. Okay. Mysteries bookseller, a very proper murder, sold more copies than the Bible and Shakespeare combined. A chess grandmaster who is always plotting his next move. She's technically triple O agent, which means she has a license to kill and a license to commit tax fraud. Deductive logic. Light bulb also colors the emoji, which can be useful in telling anything is. Oh, neat. Okay. Okay. Deductive Logico drew another grid to help him crack the case, and pretty soon he had it all figured out. Alright, so a boiling pot was certainly not on the roots of an oak. Boiling pot would be water, eh? This one we got. It was... Grandmaster Rose had a metal straw. A chip of red clay was discovered under somebody's car, so the this was in the parking lot. So therefore, well, hold on, we don't know yet. Aaliyah was in the bean room. We got that one. A water detector gave a positive reading on Agent Fuchsia. A water detector. So that could be the boiling pot, or that could be she was in the bathroom. But I don't think it means she's in the bathroom. I think it probably means that. Unfortunately, I just got a text from work that I have to do something. So I'm going to finish this, and then I have to do that work thing. So we'll probably make this just chatting for a minute while I do that work thing. A water detector gave a positive reading on Agent Fuchsia. I'm going to call it that. The murder took place under a paper towel dispenser. So let's say the murder took place in the bathroom. That means it has to be... No, we don't know about. He had it all figured out? What am I missing? Oh, shoot. Oh, here we go. Here's how you learn more. Got it. Okay. Hold on. We got to get back to this. So, the boiling pot was certainly not on the roots of an oak. So, no. Grandmaster Dame has a metal straw. Chip of red clay was discovered under somebody's car. Leo was in the bean room. That was Fuchsia. That was Dame Obsidian. The water detector gave a positive reading on Agent Fuchsia. And the murder took place under a paper towel dispenser. So probably in the bathroom. Butter knife. Made of metal. Made of clay. Made of metal and water. Made of metal and wood. Outdoors. Indoors. One is always out of paper towels. There's no drive-thru because there's a fancy coffee shop. People have to get out of their cars to drink coffee. Full of bags and bags of beans. The smell is so strong and delicious. The logic go. Okay, so I guess we know it didn't happen in the park. Right. And we know it didn't happen in the bean room. So if it didn't happen in the bean room, it can't be Dame Obsidian. Can't be Dame Obsidian. If it happened in the bathroom, we don't really have any... We just know it can't be the brick in the bathroom. The metal straw was with Grandmaster Rose. Okay. How do we get these last little bits? Okay, well, we know... Actually, it has to be... No. Sorry. Who had the brick? Boiling pot was certainly not on the roots of an oak. Oh. Okay, so yeah, the boiling pot was not in the courtyard. Which is like whatever. I mean, anything that's not the courtyard is clear. A message from the devout movement of the... Okay, that's just she had the metal straw. Is there another way to decode this? Oh, type your message in below. Is there anything else you can do with these? I want to hit. Giga stuck. Give me a second. Murder took place under a paper towel. Water detector gave a positive reading on. Agent Fuchsia had water. She was in the bean room, so she couldn't have done it. Actually, if we could find out who was in the shrine. And actually, she had the knife or the brick. Was not in. We did this. A messenger from the devout movement of cryptic staff gave Logico a note. A chip of red clay was discovered under somebody's car. Clay was... Oh, okay. The clay was in the parking lot, which means whoever had the clay was in the parking lot. So one of these two was in the parking lot, but she was in the bean room. So that puts Buddy in the parking lot, right? Has to, with the brick. Which gives her the knife. So it wasn't a knife, it wasn't a brick. Yeah. Aaliyah was in the bean room, we got that one. The water detector gave a positive reading on Agent Fuchsia. Okay. So looking over here now. The knife could not be in the parking lot. The water... So the knife or the straw were in the outside area. Thus, Rose or Fuchsia were in the outside area, right? Okay, hold on. So wait, since... Yeah, essentially it's Rose or Fuchsia. So it's the water bottle or the straw. And we know that girl was in the bean room, so the knife was in the bean room. Aha. And we know that the beaker was not outside, so we know Fuchsia was not outside, which means Fuchsia was in the bathroom, which means Fuchsia did it with the water bottle. Nailed it. Let's go. Let's go. All right, that was Umineko episode 5. It took 14 minutes and 16 seconds to read it. Much less than the other episodes. Hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so let's see what the best way to do this is. I'm going to have to go grab my work laptop and probably just chat for like 10-15 minutes while I do this. Then we will get to Umineko. I'm gonna put some comfy music on. I'll be right back. Chat. I know. Trust me. I long for a time where work is not up my butt like this. But I had a coworker who normally covers an evening report, but usually we do it before we leave. Actually, this is kind of a long story, but I guess it'll make a good long story. I just got to make sure I anonymize it enough. But this is kind of interesting, and doesn't it always just work out this way? So here's the story. So I have a coworker who was working remote today. He had an obligation that, I guess there's kind of no reason not to go in, right? I feel like there's almost 0% chance he's watching. And it's kind of interesting, and I'm curious, or I guess it's kind of curious how, I guess work culture is in various places. So, here. Okay, I'm booting up the work laptop. So essentially, this coworker was working from home today. We work in a hybrid workplace where you can, you're expected to be in the office on most days. There's pretty much an unwritten, or it's written, but like, it's not literally written, but it's been stated. Fridays, it's fine to work from home, but other days, you're pretty much expected to be into the office. And if you're not, or rather, if something comes up, or, you have like a reason to not be, then that's fine. Just, let people know. I have a coworker who, I guess, to put it simply, is looking for other work. And, in order to, I guess, inconspicuously interview, was working from home today. I know this. I think I'm one of the only ones who knows this, because obviously doesn't want it spread around the company. So he's working from home today. Now, normally this report that I'm now being asked to run, which he said he could cover, but like, I'll tell you how he asked about it, because like, it's kind of hard to say no to this, and I'm happy to help with it, because it sounds like, it's probably worth helping with. But, so he worked from home. So normally this report would get run toward the end of the day, about 6 o'clock, when everybody's leaving, because everyone's done with their duties. So all of the stuff that's like needed for it is in. Oh shoot! I just realized I didn't go get my mail. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go get my mail while I'm having a rough day. I'll be right back. Okay. Back. All right. So, coworker works remotely. As such, I guess doesn't run the report at 6 o'clock because I think some other coworkers and he were getting together to play like a basketball game together. So whatever. So, I get the text, hey, you busy? You think you could run this report? I tore my ankle. I tore my Achilles. Playing basketball. And, so it's like, I guess, he's like, I'm at the hospital. I can do it when I get back from the hospital, which, is that, like, first of all, how do you say no to that? Because, like, man, you're having a worse time than I am just having to boot up and, like, run this report or whatever. But also, like, how toxic is it that the first thing you're thinking is like, oh, I tore my Achilles. I need to make sure when I get home I run that report. Is that like, that's like some deep cynical corpa logic right there. But funny enough, yeah, like literally ripped. Funny enough, we have another coworker who's currently out with a torn, not torn, but like his knee like popped out while he was playing sports. So 2 separate people in my department have had separate sports injuries and are now both going to be like out of office. And my boss is like, I don't know if he's like paranoid or like super old school or skeptical or all of the above. It's not good, by the way, but he's like essentially like skeptical about these stories and then is like, why aren't they in the office when like literally their leg is like shattered and they can't drive? And, you know, I tell him that and he's like, oh, well, they can ride an Uber. And it's like, I gotta get out of this company, man. I gotta get out of this company, right? It's not me, right? Like, this is wrong. I'm not missing something that... Would you, if your job were capable of being worked remote, but office culture dictated otherwise, and your leg was, like, not functioning, you would think that's the time to exercise the right to do that remote work, right? Like you would think that would be the time that someone would be understanding and would be like, oh yeah, take all the time you need. Especially when everyone hates to be there anyways, right? Like, generally speaking, nobody's like jazzed to be working in an office, right? Like, I actually have a really nice office. But, or I don't have an office. The office building that I work in is not. I actually quite like it, the building. But the atmosphere is, like, clearly pretty ass, right? Yeah. Once I finish doing this for him, I'll be able to boot up Umineko. Pretty excited to see what happens. I don't have any new theories yet, but I guess we definitively have the Kinzo's dead, and seems like Natsuhi and Kraus are looking for the gold pretty actively. Which means a lot of the creeping around in the earlier episodes is probably one of those two. How far did I get into 5? Just like the first chapter or so. Essentially, the last thing that happened was Natsuhi went to Kinzo's study. Natsuhi went to Kinzo's study. Basically, like, and then saw like his ghost, and then Kinzo gave her, I guess, like, ownership is not the right word, but like the ability to command Beatrice. Like, said basically like, hey, you know, Beatrice will help you in your mission to, you know, get your debts repaid. And that was the last thing. This sucks. Almost done, chat. Not really, but like, I'm a minute. Nobody knew yet? That is actually the last thing that happened was a humanoid or human version of Bern Castell showed up in the mansion. She is there. Or maybe that wasn't the last thing that happened, but she was in the mansion. We saw that she was in the mansion. I don't remember exactly what happened. But nobody, like, brand new. I don't think. So she has arrived? Yes. She's pretty fabulous, too. I'm curious what her... like, what her stuff is gonna... like, what she's gonna be up to. She's above the board and in the board. And we know that there's a Beatrice in the board and not one above the board right now. And then Lambda Delta is, she's gonna do a lot? Oh, boy. Yeah, it seems like they're not effing around, the two stronger witches. Or the two perceived stronger witches. I can't, like, make the assumption that they're stronger, but... 084, 047... 084, 047, 031... 1105... and 1071. That's... Terraria Chad? Yeah, I just threw on, like, comfy video game music as the background. 14. 339. 5, 1, 2. Almost done. How you doing, Laura? Got a last minute or late night work text. Not O'Cage business. That, hey, I tore my Achilles. Can you run this report for me while I'm at the hospital? So it's kind of hard to be like, no, I'm reading Umineko. What a based ass answer, though. Can you imagine? I hurt myself. Can you, like, take 20 minutes to do this real quick? No. I need to find the treasure of the Golden Witch. Just send back some Kinzo flow. Oh, I saw... Okay, here's more discourse, I guess. I know you're in the hospital. I'll be there as soon as I solve the epitaph. So true. I would... That is something I would say if I were in the world of Rokunjima. But as we know, that story is entirely fictional, and any resemblance to real events are entirely coincidental. So I saw two memes, or I saw a lot of memes today, of course. Oh no, stop! Oh god. Oh god. Hold on, I fat-fingered the trackpad on my work laptop and just dragged the folder into another folder. I hope I didn't destroy this whole report. Okay, we're fine. We're chilling. Okay. So, two memes today that I've not seen in a long time. One was Hoktua, which... fairly recent, sure. But people were popping off about it in one of the Discords I'm in. And trying to, like, you know, rephrase it and stuff. But it was a tweet that somebody reposted. And it was to the tune of, I write sins, not tragedies. And it was like, I chime in with or wait, it's, how did it go? I gotta read it again. But it was actually pretty funny. One of the fan games says this story is true. It happened to someone I know. Any resemblance is completely intentional. Where's the tweet? It gone? Oh, it's a I hawk taw with a haven't you people ever heard of? Spit on that goddamn thing. I thought that was really funny. But I hadn't seen that meme in like a minute. So it kind of took me off guard because I thought that was like a really short-lived meme. And then I threw on a Markiplier video in the background today because it got recommended to me, which kind of uncanny because I don't normally watch stuff from him. But he was playing a game. Oh, Oh, I didn't move the thing. I didn't move the thing. But he was doing like Dracula flow bars in it. And I'm like, damn, I haven't heard Dracula flow stuff in like forever. And that made me ask the question. Oh, wait, I did paste the thing. Oh, what did I do wrong? Uh-oh. I'm just gonna, I think. Yeah, I thought that was. It made me ask the question: like, are people still doing that as like a normal kind of meme thing? He just kept saying, "This shit ain't nothing to me, man," and then like going off, and it was pretty funny, but like, I thought we were done with that. Why did I get duped? I'm just gonna run it again. Oh, sucks. Is it just literally things that are duplicated? Oh, I see why. It's the I see why. Okay, that makes sense. Confused. Hold on. I mean, this is right. I'm gonna do it like. This needs to get done. We have Umineko to read. I know how to fix it. Morning. Okay, it didn't even do the thing. What? Gave an error, but it didn't even... thing that it said was erroneous. Interesting. I rode a I rode a Peloton today. That was fun. My work has a gym, and so I stayed after a little bit. And the first time I used it, I hated it, and I was like, well, "How do people even like these things? Horrible." But then it turns out I learned that I was on a... Wait, what is the problem here now? I'm gonna have to remove... What is happening? There are dupes. Okay, so it is erroneous in the way it said it was. But it turns out I did an entirely uphill climb on... Wait, no, this should be... Right, what the... What are we talking about? Did these? Yeah, okay, there are duplicate entries. But they're not all... Huh? What am I missing? Ah, those won't be, but these will be. Aha! We found it. Okay. Everything is duplicated. So I will use the handy dandy remove duplicates feature. $374 duplicates. 500 values from log. I think I did it. I don't know why it duped it. But fixed it. We're almost done, chat. I appreciate your patience. In some ways, it's kind of a blessing that the Myrtle took that long, because if I was mid Umineko, there's no way I would have halted doing it. Oh wait, hold on. Is that why there were duplicates? Probably. Yeah, I think I see why it happened. Whatever, they can fix it. Done my part. Please just go. Please just work. Please clap. Yes, it worked. Okay. Now we are almost done. Or now we have one step left. I got some Digimon cards in them. I built a Digimon deck. I played some Digimon with Koyo on like the simulator, and enjoyed it a little bit. And like the decks in this game are super cheap. Oh, this isn't Digimon cards. This is a dental ad. What? That's not a trading card. It's a business card. I got. It's a dental ad, chat. I thought my cards came in. That is cruel and unusual. This one has to be cards, though. This one's all floppy. Yeah, this one's cards. Was this the big order? I might be able to build the deck actually with this one. It looks like it is. 21 cards here. Yeah, I ordered 21 cards and it was $2.28. It's like a dime a card. Digimon is super cheap. That was after shipping too. So like some of that $21 was shipping. Do. I said he tore his Achilles. I've never torn a muscle or broken a bone in my life. Probably because I don't do any amount of physical activity, like, ever. Or I don't do any amount of, like, risk-intensive physical activity, like contact sports or anything like that. I have, like, fallen off my bike and scraped my arm, though. That hurt. I actually still have a scar from that. I, like, really scraped my arm. My bike seat fell off of my bike. This was, like, 3 or 4 years ago. My bike seat fell off my bike mid-ride. And so then the pole, like, jammed into my tailbone. And, like, then I lost my balance and just skid it out and spun out on the road. Quite painful. Definitely not. Would not advise not checking your bike's parts before going and riding. I could tell something was up, but I didn't check it out. And then upon taking a big, like, bump, the seat just flew off. Okay, I think we're done with the work stuff. Thank you for your patience. I do appreciate it. Continue the story of the Golden Witch. All right, it's time. Thank you, YouTube, for indulging this as well. You can fast forward to this timestamp to resume from now. I'm not editing this shit. Hey, Gigas, how's it going? Family conference of the previous year, 1985. The rose garden was truly splendid this year. The roses were blooming like crazy, as if competing with each other. In that rose garden, Kinzo, Kanon, and Natsuhi could be seen. Once again, the flowers have grown wonderfully this year. It must be a result of your care. Thank you very much. The weather just happened to be good this year. Thanks to your care, the garden is even more beautiful than usual. Good work. Thank you very much. If today weren't so special, we might have been able to admire the roses while enjoying some black tea. Kinzo shrugged. Today was the family conference. When it came to the other siblings' business, none of the news had been good. On the contrary, those siblings probably planned to turn the conversation to the topic of Kinzo's remaining life, and hold a quiet feud over his inheritance. Those people are quite unpleasant. By the way, how's Kraus? Is the debt repayment plan of his proceeding well? It does seem to be a realistic plan. However, it's a plan on quite a large scale, and it doesn't seem to be bearing fruit quite as well as he had expected. If possible, I would have hoped to have that resolved before today's family conference. Yes, my apologies.
良いのか、金蔵。
Ooh, I knew that voice. Are you sure you're okay, Kinzo?
そんなところをの
Casually walking around in a place like this? Hello, Asuna. Or just Sana? Usana? How had she gotten up here? Well, it's fairly pointless to wonder about that sort of thing when you're dealing with a witch. Beatrice was casually sitting on the roof of the arbor, almost as though she had been basking in the sun.
半魔法の毒素の塊である。
So Beatrice was at the family conference the year prior, but she also said she has not been revived for like 1,000 years. Those relatives are like a massive lump of the magic-releasing toxin, and they'll be intruding in on us. If you bump into them, your soul will evaporate in an instant. I am already dead. Evaporating would be no detriment. We can't have that happen. Please, for the sake of the Ushiromiya family, lend us your strength just a little longer.
Natsuhi.
Natsuhi. We're no longer dead inside? Who's that? Oh, Beatrice? No, so this is the past. Ish. This is the family conference of the year prior. I also think this is just Kinzo... Wait. It seems the boat carrying the relatives has left the harbor. Perhaps it's about time to bring an end to this walk of yours. So, Natsuhi can speak to Beatrice. Which is also the future. No, this is just the past, thankfully. Natsuhi can see Beatrice. So, is this happening after? This must be happening after. Okay, I get it. Kinzo died before the 1985 family conference. So when it came to the 1986 family conference, Kinzo was already dead 2 years. So in this instance, this is after Natsuhi has essentially inherited Beatrice. So when she sees Kinzo and Beatrice, it's all in her own head. So Beatrice and Kinzo are both in Natsuhi's head as a means of her to... Oh yeah, because he mentioned the debt reallocation plan and stuff. So this is... Even though this is... So you know what? You're right, Bladecom. This is in the past and in the future. Because even though this is in the past of the family conference where all the murders happen, this is in the future of the beginning of this episode. That's so thank you. Please return to the study, Father. My. How tiresome to go back inside when the weather is this perfect. Don't grumble, Kinzo. Also, this means Natsuhi is, in some form or another, buying into the magic. Don't grumble, Kinzo. Right now, you're nothing more than a ghost I gave life to. Also, Natsuhi was the one who took charge in episode 1. She was the one who grabbed the gun. She was the one who was kind of calling the shots. I think episode 1 is going to have a lot more weight after episode 5. It'll be troublesome for both me and Natsuhi if you're scattered away by the toxin. Just be a good boy, shut yourself away in the study, and wrap a blanket around yourself or something. Merely receiving the chance to enjoy these roses after death makes me an extremely fortunate man. I understand. I shall return to the study. But I would like some black tea. Kennen, tell Genji to bring me some. Perhaps some Marco Polo would do well today. So Kennen either also sees these spirits or is just acting along with Natsuhi. Then let us go our separate ways. Natsuhi, you must conduct the family conference splendidly in my absence. Of course, Father. He can't say that in front of them. He can't say it in front of them, but my husband is already Ushiromiya family head, and I will do all I can to ensure that I don't embarrass him as his wife. Compared to Kraus, who's had a stomach ache since this morning, you are so very composed, Natsuhi. My son is quite hopeless. My husband is talented in his own way. Supporting him where he's weak is my duty as his wife. Indeed. Carry out your task with precision. I will make sure to stay shut away, so that I don't get in the way of this farce. Canon, go with father to the study, and then have Genji prepare some black tea. I'm not so senile that I need your help to stand up. Here I go. Refusing Canon's attempt to lend him a hand, Kinzo rose from the flower bed he had been sitting on. The retired head left everything in Natsuhi's hands and returned to the study at a gentle pace. You're looking well. You possess a sense of dignity reminiscent of Kinzo's deceased wife. On the off chance that the magic releasing toxin does reach father, will the magic dissolve in an instant? Indeed, in the blink of an eye. I can vanish whenever I please, but if someone already dead, such as Kinzo, loses his form, he'll be instantly tossed away like dust by the winds of the sun. You must take care. Yes, I understand. You may have talent as a witch. The magic-resisting toxin has been building up in your system over the years, and yet you are still able to understand magic. If you and I had met during your youth, you might have become a powerful witch by now. I am the wife of Ushiromiya Kraus, the family head. I would become even a witch or a demon to protect his honor. I am deeply grateful for the power of your magic. I wouldn't have been able to protect the honor of the Ushiromiya family without you. Let's discuss that another time. I'd like to enjoy it with just the two of us women drinking tea. A friend of mine who went to Sri Lanka sent me some black tea with a wonderful rose fragrance. Oh, Imbula. That isn't bad. Then you should also have some patties on the side. You must serve me some as a reward if I manage to trick everyone for this entire family conference. It's a promise. Understood. I promise. Then, I'll see you later. Yes. Later. The witch made her body crumble into the rusting winds, became gold flower petals, and scattered into thin air. Natsuhi watched her go, then turned on her heels and headed for the mansion. And then there were none left in the rose garden. Okay then. It's break time. Got any complaints so far? None at all. If you have to pee, why not just go and do it? Go piss, girl. What a rude thing to say. Kinzo is already dead, right? But he's walking around and talking. Doesn't that mean this is magic? Of course, I doubt this move would work on you after all this time, Bern. But what about you, Battler? Isn't this weird? Don't you have to accept the existence of the magic that revived Kinzo? No. If you're trying to imitate Beto, it's pissing me off. So stop that right now. Figured it out? Then come on. How are you gonna answer, Battler? Kinzo was just out for a stroll. Why not act like you always do and start holding your head crying, "This makes no sense"? Come on, use that Zen Damida catchphrase and then give me one of your classical nonsensical counter-arguments. Hi, Ditz. There's no way a human who's supposed to be dead could be walking around, right? Is this all because of some unknown virus called Rokkenjima syndrome that causes mass delusions? I think that actually might be a thing. Or do the scales of a mysterious form of butterfly that only lives on Rokkenjima happen to be hallucinogenic? Or is it all because of a mysterious secret organization called the Mountain Dogs, made an as of yet discovered drug called Puru Pikopu, which causes mass delusion? Okay, so she's like really digging into these delusions. These are all Higurashi references? Ah, okay. Let me hear tons of this wonderful crap. Just shut up. This isn't even a problem. Grandfather is dead at this point in time. There's no way he exists. The only reason he's able to act like he's alive like this is because of Aunt Natsuhi's lie, her attempt to make it through the family conference while hiding grandfather's death. Oh? It's Natsuhi's lie? You can just revive the dead by lying? Wouldn't that make it Natsuhi's magic? Oh, thank you for the head pats, everyone. This world is like a brown tube before you've looked in it. It's the world of the cat box before you open it. As long as Aunt Natsuhi says she took a walk with grandfather, and as long as no one can confirm that it's a lie, it's possible to display Aunt Natsuhi taking a walk in the rose garden with grandfather as her reality. That means it's possible for grandfather to appear. Clapping. That extremely unflattering applause was coming from Bernkastel.
ブラボー
Bravo.
あなた
You're much calmer without Beto around.
うるさい
Quiet.
お前もだ
You shut up too.
お待ちなさいよ、バトラー。
Wait a sec, Battler. According to your theory, sure, it might be really possible for Kinzo to appear if Natsuhi's the only person there. If Natsuhi claims to observe Kinzo in a world with no one except Natsuhi in it, then no one can deny it, right? Schrodinger's cat in a VN? Yeah, right? No way. Wow. Wow. But Canon was in the same place, and he was also looking at Kinzo, right? How would you explain that?
全く問題
That's no problem at all either. Yeah, I mean, that's actually no problem because Canon has to agree with Natsuhi.
カノン君は
Canon is a servant that works for the Ushirimiya family. Natsuhi probably ordered him to keep her story so that she could hide grandfather's death.
だから
Because of that, Canon can see grandfather even though he shouldn't exist. Just like on Natsuhi can.
を見ることができる
I mean, that's easy.
あいにくね
Too bad, Lambda.
バトラーは
Battler isn't gonna fall for that kind of child's play anymore.
には引っかからないのよ
そうみたいね。
Seems so. Well, this is nothing more than an opening before the game really starts. Like an aperitif before a meal.
飲み屋のお通し
An appetizer at a bar.
寿司屋の
Green tea at a sushi restaurant.
うるせえ
Shut up.
青字で言い直さ
So,
なきゃ先
we aren't gonna get anywhere unless I say it again in blue text, huh?
そうね。
Yeah, looks like it. Would you mind?
じい様がすでに死んでいるにもかかわらず
The reason grandfather's strolling around like nothing happened even though he's already dead
じい様が
is that people who want to make it seem as though he's alive created an illusion of him.
同じ思惑を
People who think the same way can share that
そ
illusion.
して
Then, they'll talk as though grandfather actually exists and was with them until a second ago. That's why he's strolling around like it's perfectly natural.
よって
Because of this,
夏日おば
the
さん
illusion of grandfather is unable to appear in front of people who aren't in on this with
だ
Natsuhi.
からこそ
That's why they made up the story of him shutting himself away in his study and refusing to come out. Come to think of it, anyone who's seen Kinzo in the past has been either a servant, Kraus, Natsuhi, or Nanjo, pretty much. I don't think anyone else has seen him. In the games before now, well, Maria said grandfather gave her an umbrella in the 4th game, but that was clearly just a lie. In the games before now, grandfather has always locked himself up in his study. We never met him directly. However, some people said things that made us think he was locked up in a study in a bad mood, such as claiming to have met him only a short while ago. We blindly accepted their statements and believed that grandfather was in the study. That's why it was possible for an illusion of grandfather to exist in the study. That's right. In the games before now, the only people who met grandfather were Uncle Kraus, Aunt Natsuhi, and the servants. Wow, it's almost like I just said that. Because they all stuck to the same story, an illusion of grandfather was able to exist on this island, making it seem like he was alive. Now Lambda Delta is going to cut in with Red and mention Maria.
お前
You
の
even showed us a scene at the beginning of this game, where Aunt Natsuhi convinced Dr. Nanjo and the rest to cover up grandfather's death. I'm not going to fall for a cheap trick like that after all this
子供は
time.
子供だも
Not bad. But I was hoping for the unknown drug, Puru Puru Pico Pio.
そんな妄言
There's no way he'd say something so ridiculous, right? After all, supposing such a thing as this exists would be just as bad as surrendering to the fantasy genre. Okay, well, call me ridiculous because I think there's radioactive gold under Rokunshima that's making people hallucinate.
ウイルスだろうと
Whether it's a virus or a drug or an illness, anything that hasn't been discovered yet is in violation of Nox's 4th commandment. Nox? What do you mean 4th commandment?
ノックスだ
Nox's
未
4th.
知の薬物
It's forbidden for unknown drugs or difficult to understand scientific discoveries to be used.
殺人にこれを用いてはならない
Nox mentioned? Who's Nox? The rules mention that such things can't be used during a murder.
なんだそりゃ
What?
未知の薬物
Unknown drug X and unknown scientific device X should be the best kind of weapons when fighting a witch.
魔女と戦う
それ
That's what I'm talking about.
全部正式
All of those violate the rules of a proper mystery.
未知のウイルス
Supposing an unknown virus, an unknown drug,
未知の病
an unknown sickness, or an unknown triple X variable was used puts it totally in the fantasy genre.
ご愁傷
My condolences. Trying to think if there was a mystery story that I've read that has gone this route.
それがあなたの
If that was your theory, then it's game over for you. Hey,
何を言って
what are you talking about?
あなたは
You think you've been fighting in direct opposition to Beto, but that's not actually true. You haven't been in direct opposition.
ずれた角度
You've been fighting along with her from a slightly different angle.
あなたがしてた
Not Chemical X.
ファンタジー
All this playing detectives you've done hasn't been fantasy versus mystery. It's only been fantasy versus anti-fantasy. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. I don't either. But there's one thing I do get. It sounds like you're saying there's something wrong with my fighting style. We're fighting to kill the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch. That means interpreting this tale as a proper mystery. Oh. In other words, from the very start, we have to ignore any and all elements that violate the taboos of the mystery genre. Ignore them. Yeah, totally understandable. I get it after she explained it. Yeah, because like it is kind of a wet fart if you're just like, oh yeah, it turns out this person was being mind controlled by like this syringe that they injected in them in chapter 2. That just completely kills any like usefulness of context clues and research that you've done through the whole book, because there's nothing else pointing to it. That said, in something like a Silent Hill or a Resident Evil or something where like they keep talking about it, like the T-Virus, right? They keep talking about it. If it's a major plot point and not an unknown mystery whatever, then I think it becomes fair game. But then, like she said, you're not in a proper mystery at that point. You're in like sci-fi. For example, several closed room murders have occurred in the games before now, right? Yeah. At every single crime scene, you enthusiastically check with Beto to make sure there are no hidden doors, right? Then that leads to a flashy bunch of red truths weaving together all over the place. Almost as though that itself is the battle. I call that a waste of time. After all, it's clearly specified in Nox's third. It is forbidden for hidden passages to exist. Whoa. In the mystery genre, hidden passages mustn't exist. So if you want to interpret everything as a proper mystery, entering this whole debate on whether there are hidden doors or not means you've lost from the beginning. After all, there aren't any. Yeah, hidden doors. So essentially what Baron Castell here is saying is like, it's no fun if there's literally just a MacGuffin that caused it, right? Like, it's not fun, because the fun of a mystery is watching and reading the entire time and trying to guess it yourself. So no MacGuffin. She's saying no MacGuffins. So probably no radioactive gold. So as soon as you suspect that they might exist, it's already game over for you. In other words, you assume you can't start theory building just because no one's yet proven that hidden doors don't exist. That's why I call you naive and a failure at this mystery genre. You've already lost once you start thinking that. You thought you were waging into a fight to interpret everything like a mystery novel, right? Then you've got to follow the conventions of the mystery genre. Well, that's it in a nutshell. Wow, she gets really into this. The much bored Baron Castell really does like a good mystery, huh? Well, that hidden doors must not exist at any of the crime scenes. There are other ones that are related to other things that come in later, so like all the laws. That's cool. That means any time spent asking whether or not they exist is not wasted. Log. I think I know what you're talking about. I've heard about it somewhere. It's like the 10 basic rules for mystery novels or something. Yeah, that's right. They're the 10 wedges for drilling witches brandished by Nox, the peerless archbishop of witch hunting. These are the true weapons with which to fight and defeat the fantasy known as the illusion of the witch head-on. Interesting. It's just like you, Baron, to bring in such a troublesome weapon. That's the fantasy genre's archenemy. So you'll deny the existence of hidden doors right from the start, without even investigating the crime scene. That sounds more like fantasy to me. Baron is friends with the Witch of Certainty. Having a person with a 100% win rate can be boring. It's true, she is the Witch of Certainty. Well, Umineko changes or simplified most of them and ignores number 5 because it's extremely dated. Parentheses, racist. Oh no. I can only imagine. I'll look them up at some point, but like probably not now because I want the game to expose them at its pace, but I can only imagine what what that says. Lambda, who's in charge of the witch's side is fantasy. The one who's fighting her, mystery. What are you? You're just barely an anti-fantasy, doing nothing but dodging over and over, denying fantasy. You're opposed to absolutely everything, but you can't make counter-proposals. You're like a politician from some country. I wonder. Shut up. I didn't come here to speak gibberish with you two. Continue the story right now. Be quiet. That sleeping princess behind you looks like she's in pain, doesn't she? When he turned around, he saw Beto's living corpse resting in a chair. However, sweat glistened all over her body, and it felt like she was breathing a little harder than normal. She looked as though she was suffering from a high fever. Beto, what's wrong? Are you okay? What do you mean, is she okay? You sure do say some weird things. Aren't you fighting to kill this girl? We've rewound this 5th game for your benefit, but right now Byrne has done a good job cornering her opponent and is about to break through the illusion of the witch. Her existence has been almost completely denied. It's only natural that she's suffering. Just now, even you smashed the illusion of the witch by saying there's no way Kinzo exists. Here's the proof that your attack reached Beto. This agony of hers. Oh, so for Battler to battle back, he has to hurt Beto. I tried to at least wipe away the sweat on Beto's forehead with a handkerchief. It's true I promised Beto that I'd let her die, but it was supposed to happen peacefully. I wasn't planning to make her suffer first. My goal isn't to make the sleeping Beto suffer like this before killing her. And if they had seen right through to my mixed feelings, the two witches grinned. Yeah. Dad only overheard because you kept yelling about the inheritance, right, Aniki? It isn't my fault. It was just an unlucky coincidence, okay? He just happened to be in a corridor and heard. It was an accident, I tell you. An accident. Could you two give it a rest? Just call it our bad luck this time and give up. If you leave a man alone, his mood will pop right back to normal. Hopefully Father's feelings weren't hurt so much that he writes up some strange will. The relatives took a deep breath and fell silent. Hey, you can't jump around either, Maria. What do you do if Angie falls? Sorry to keep you waiting. The boat is ready. Okay, let's go. Won't get anywhere by complaining now. We eagerly await your return to the island. So this is the end of the family conference. Natsuhi was sitting on a bench in the rose garden, looking completely worn out. However, when she noticed that Kanon and Kumasawa were coming back, she immediately sat up straight, regained the dignity of the head's wife. Did the boat leave? Yes. It departed just a minute ago. I see. Good job seeing them off. What is my husband doing? He returned to his room a short while ago. He is resting. Since the previous day, Kraus had been almost overwhelmed by anxiety over the thought that Kinzo's death might be discovered. When the family conference ended, his weariness must have suddenly gotten a hold of him. However, the way he had refused to let even a sliver of his true intention slip out, and the manner in which he had managed to act as though everything was normal, showed that Kraus's nerve was nothing to sneeze at. How was it? Did they seem to notice anything suspicious about Father? Not at all. Ava and the rest were having a big ruckus over how the master overheard them talking about the inheritance, right? Wasn't their panicking just priceless? Yes, they were quite shaken up. But Kumasawa, you really are quite an actress. The way you acted all panicked in the corridor made it seem like Father really was there. Kumasawa is quite talented at that sort of thing. Oh, come now. I don't deserve such praise. I always have to give Genji strict orders not to easily swallow your stories when you call in sick. Now that's just too harsh, madam. I love Kumasawa. You did a really good job. Both of you, as well as Genji and Shannon. We'll get your pay for a month's worth of past vacation time, as well as 5 extra days, just as promised. Consider this as a confidential benefit. Talk with Genji when you collect your pay so that the other servants don't find out. Sure, we understand. Right? Kumasawa, your voice is too loud. Oh, not good, not good. Good point. Let's leave it at that for the time being. We should all return to our regular duties. That's right. I've had Go to prepare some special tea. Tell him to serve it. So I guess blaming the tea is also something that's probably out of the question because of Nox's laws. Natsuhi let them know she wanted to be left alone for a while, so she could drink some black tea in the rose garden. The black tea that had been carried all the way to the bench was the Sri Lankan tea dimbula that she had promised Beto, along with some patties. Sitting on either side of this snack, staring at it curiously, the wife of the head and her witch could be seen. So this is patties. I just assumed it would be some kind of baked sweet. Apparently Natsuhi, not realizing that it had curry-like spicy flavor, had started choking as she put it in her mouth. To describe it in Japanese terms, it was like fried dumplings stuffed with mashed, curry-flavored potatoes. That sounds so good. As a household dish, it would probably be pretty popular with the kids. However, it was something of a shock to Natsuhi, who expected that a treat to go with tea would be sweet. Don't you know? Dimbula always goes with this. Black tea always goes with cookies. Oh, but chocolate is good too. You mustn't have sweet bean jelly with Japanese tea, though salted konbu always works. Chinese tea goes with Chinese dumplings. Though I like mooncakes too. Oh, mooncakes are so good. I'm surprised. You know a lot about various cultures, don't you? Well, I haven't been living 1,000 years for nothing. I've tried refining teas from all over the world. Perhaps you could call it a journey through the world of tea. That does seem like it would be a wonderful way to travel the world. Before today, I never knew that one could enjoy tea like this. I will treasure this experience. I cannot leave Rokkenjima. This is the only way I can travel. What about you? Hey, TJ, how's it going? I'm sure you've elegantly traveled the world like any wealthy wife might. Before Jessica was born, my husband took me to many countries. Before marrying, I never once traveled overseas, so each time was a fresh and new experience. How many bodies? One right now. Only one. And actually, you could argue 0. Sounds like you were also born into a very rigid family. It was strict, but they gave me a wonderful upbringing. It would be rude to my father and mother to call that rigid. That's pretty elegant. That's a pretty eloquent way of calling it rigid. Kraus might have pitied Natsuhi, or he might have wanted to take her away from the rigid Ushiromiya family for a little bit and let her rest. Or he might simply have wanted to take his wife around countries he knew well, to show off everything he knew. Unlike father, my husband is fond of Asian nations. Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Thailand. I think we also went to Malaysia. That Kraus. Was he trying to rebel against Kinzo's Western tastes? But Asia's good too. After all, the Japanese are strongly influenced by the West. When they think of foreign countries, only Western ones come to mind. But you mustn't forget the East. I myself knew a few things about the West, but I knew very little about the East. I seem to recall my husband making fun of me now and then during our travels. Beato subtly peered into Natsuhi's heart as the latter grumbled that the trips had all been very tiring. Are you listening? This is called an areca nut. It's a popular luxury food item around here. It looked like a small round gourd-like nut that had been smashed with cucumber wedged in it. At a glance, it looked as though it would probably taste like pickles. I see. So I just bite it here? As she tried to bite the one her husband was holding, he suddenly moved it away. It felt kind of embarrassing, like she was a fish after some bait. Whoa, wait up. You have to eat it a certain way. Yes, you're supposed to bite it. Bite it. Chew it, but don't swallow it. Huh? Even though you bite and chew it, you can't swallow it? Yes. Bite and chew. Don't swallow. And don't drink the juice. It'll make your stomach hurt. Huh? Sounds awful. I don't understand. Why would you eat something like that? Think of it as something like gum. Chew it and enjoy the flavor. Then take the scrap shoe bitten in the juice and spit it out into a paper cup like this.
口の中が真っ赤ですよ。
Here, the inside of your mouth is bright red. Wipe it off. Even her favorite handkerchief, which she had wiped Krause's mouth with, had bright red marks on it. Something that's poisoned if eaten or drunk, and it makes the inside of your mouth so bright red. And having to spit something out after you put it in your mouth? How indecent. Thinking of this, Natsuhi admittedly refused Krause's invitation. No way, I don't need any of that. This is a cross-cultural experience. What's the point of traveling if we don't do things that can only be done here? Krause kept chewing, ignoring the fact that even his lips were being colored bright red. Father likes these too. He must have ordered them long ago, because he used to chew away at them on the mansion's terrace. Dude, Kinzo was chewing. Kinzo was downing these things. He was eating them. He was taking the stomach ache. He was seeing witches when he ate this stuff. Although it seems he stopped ever since you arrived. Look here, Father. The person you respect even more than me enjoyed all these time. Enjoy these all the time. Look, don't be shy. Take some. No, stop, dear. Oh, gross. Krause is just trying to, like, gotcha his dad. During travel, Krause had the innocence of a child. He didn't even conceal his jealousy of the respect he normally gave Kinzo. Just being able to see that side of her husband made traveling all the way to another country worthwhile. Krause urged her even harder to bite it, but Natsuhi, undaunted, ran from place to place and finally yelled that he was being too pushy. Krause was miffed the whole bus ride. What a child, to let little thing like this get him down. Natsuhi thought exasperatedly. Then, a native tour guide in the bus took one of the areca nuts and started explaining about it. It had apparently been a beloved luxury item in these parts since ancient times, similar to tobacco. Just like Natsuhi's case, it was starting to be disliked by young people and was becoming obsolete. Furthermore, it was treated as a good luck charm in this area, and was known as a symbol for couples. She looked at her husband's face. He turned away abruptly, but it looked like his cheeks had gotten a little red. But like he only wanted to experience it because Kinzo did. So you leaned on your husband and held his hand then? What? You and your husband share a pretty pure love, don't you? Did you get all fired up? You know, like that night? Oh, like that night? Red-faced and avoiding Beto's eye, Natsuhi tried to hide her embarrassment by swallowing the pâtisse whole, chewing with her cheeks puffed out like a blowfish. Beto said, "Yep, this is the best snack anyone could have with tea," and nodded several times, a broad smile on her face. However, this is only how it was when we were newlyweds. Right now, I cannot even leave Rokkenjima. I'm a bird in a cage. Well, it's the same for me. I can keep dying, but I can't escape Rokkenjima. I'm also a bird in a cage. I don't know much about you, so I won't pry. However, I do see that you face circumstances not to be taken lightly. I have no desire to act like a chief prisoner here. Let's be friendly and fellow birds in this cage. I've taken a liking to you. Really? Thank you. The instructions and orders you gave the servants for this family conference were superb. You took everything from where Kinzo would be, and when, and what he did, and what he left behind, and put it all together splendidly without any contradictions. That detailed written plan of yours had the same beauty as a high-level magical circle. To make it look like Kinzo actually existed and was living life his own way, he had written his schedule for the day down in the finest detail, and made the servants follow it to the letter. When did he meet whom and where, and what did he leave them? What did he do when and where, and what changed? As a result, even though the relatives never saw him, they hadn't suspected in the slightest that he had been there. He had not been there, excuse me. Ava and the rest truly believed that Kinzo had just happened to be walking through the hall when he heard them talking about the inheritance and went into a rage. Everything had gone just as Natsuhi's plan had predicted, down to the finest detail. And the corporation by the servants had also worked smoothly, down to the finest detail. We had to stop the secret from getting out no matter the cost. That's why I double-checked the plan thoroughly. Your willpower and attention to detail summoned success with certainty. As a witch, it seems that you're in Lady Lambda Delta's camp. At your current level, as soon as you become self-aware of that as magic, you will be worthy of calling yourself a witch apprentice. If you call something like that magic, then that would make Kumasawa the witch of feigned illness. It's only on busy days that she calls us to say she's taking the day off because of her bad back. Like every year's family conference, for example. Oh no. You've got Kumasawa completely wrong there. She's a witch of a much, much higher level. If you knew what she really was, it'd shock you. She a witch of mackerel? Watching these two have their pleasant chat was another pair with steam rising from their black tea. However, the second pair was in a world that the first couldn't see, where golden roses bloomed. Renove was kind enough to make some of us some of that dimbula too. Oh, it felt as though Beto muttered something. For the first time, it felt as though something had gotten through to her. Surely she had taken an interest in black tea and felt like drinking it. Thinking this, Battler took Beto's cup into her hand, making her hold it. Beto's eyes trembled sadly, and her fingers shook, almost as though she couldn't even move her fingers as she wanted to, and was mourning the fact that she could no longer enjoy the tea she once loved by her own power. That's how she looked. The Battler put his hand on Beto's, grabbed a hold of the teacup and lifted it to her lips. Aww. Then, though it was only a single mouthful, Beto sipped. The days they'd been locked in a killing fest with red swords and blue wedges already seemed like the distant past. Now, not only was Beto unable to do that, it was even difficult for her to make her body do as she pleased. Even just drinking a mouthful of black tea like this was hard. How is it? That rose aroma makes for great black tea. You like it? Of course. Beto didn't respond. What happened to you? Is this another strategy? Are you pretending to be in a slump so you can shock me later? That's what you're after. The same trick won't work again, so give it a rest. I can't get fired up with you like this. Hey, isn't it about time for you to start laughing loudly, saying, "Gotcha, dumbass"? Or something? Any kind of joke stops being funny if you drag it out too long. Especially if it's a rehash. That was... I feel attacked by that statement. Laugh. Just like you're cackling over there as you drink with Aunt Natsuhi. Damn. Can't you at least grin? Never again. This child will never laugh again. Those sudden words were exceedingly cruel. How can you say that for sure? Don't you dare try to take Beto's right to laugh away from her. Oh, should I say it in red then? I shook my head furiously. Then, with an expression that didn't reveal her thoughts in the slightest, Baron Castell spoke while looking at Beto's face, and the word she used was completely incomprehensible to me. Congratulations. For what? Beto is like this as a result of your victory. What are you talking about? You said something interesting in a previous game. You said this would be torture where you both torment each other. That was right. It's torture for Beto as well. And you won that torture game. That's why Beto's soul was killed. Why she became a doll-like corpse. Are you saying I did this to Beto? Battle ends when one of you loses the will to try to win. As far as the battle between you and Beto goes, that was already concluded in the previous game. Well, it probably happened without you noticing, though. In that case, why hasn't the game ended if I've already won? Why is this game still going? The shackle attached to this girl's ankle. That's a rule Lambda made. Even if Beatrice tries to yield or gets discouraged or gives up, she isn't capable of stepping down from the game. That's the rule. Or maybe it's a curse. Bitch. In the past, I supported you when you looked like you were going to give in. Oh, yeah. But you probably couldn't perceive it. I assisted you by giving you hints and making things go your way. Ugh. That's why you're able to be here now. Remember how I saved you? Well, you sent Angie. Baron Castell stared at me. It's true I wasn't aware of it, but just maybe I was saved by her. In the same way, Lambda is supporting Beto. And this time, Beto is on the verge of giving in. Oh my gosh, my eye. I'm not having a good day, chat. Well, I'm having an okay day. Hi, Soma.
だから今度は
That's why Lambda's been giving her support this round, to keep her from giving in.
それが
That's what the shackle is.
同僚を許さない
By refusing to let her resign, she's rescuing Beto within the game.
何をどうす
Rescuing her from what?
本来ゲームは
Normally, there are only two ways for this game to
ど
end.
ちらかが
Either one side accepts defeat and resigns,
どちらかが
or one side will win the game with a checkmate.
ベアとはその
Beto was about to collide with the first way.
だからラムダは
That's why Lambda crushed that chance and managed to just barely avoid
ゲ
losing.
ーム上は
By the rules of this game, that's an impressive bit of support. So the only way this game can end now is if I win. At the very least, until I do win, this witch called Lambda Delta can probably try to buy time for Beto to make a comeback. But that'll just prolong Beto's suffering even more. Neither of us wants that. Both Beto and I fought with all we had, trying to win. The game repeated several times because we were both giving it everything we could muster. Then, that one time, we confronted each other head-on with all of our strength, and Beto acknowledged her loss. She said she wanted me to end the game, and entrusted everything to me. So Baron Castell's words are the truth. She said it's my fault Beto became a living corpse. That's true, but it's something both of us wanted.
俺たちの勝負
Our match has already been resolved. Even so, the game won't end. That's why Beto put her trust in me. She told me to win quickly and end this game. Ah, so she saw it coming. Now, if this game's been resolved, letting it continue any further means endless torture for her. Nothing more than a nightmare. I've got to give her a perfect checkmate, end this game in the truest sense, and let her rest in peace. For that reason, I'll keep fighting. But, by continuing the game, Beto's eternal torture will continue. It felt as though I can only let her sleep peacefully by slowly strangling her to death.
もう俺には
I'm starting to feel like truth doesn't matter
ベ
anymore.
アとの気がす
As
る
long as Beto's satisfied, who cares what happens in the
ベ
game?
アとは遠い
Beto
俺
resigned.
は魔女幻
I'll abandon the truth of the illusion of the witch and return home with my family. Is there anything wrong with that?
いいじゃねえか
If only Lambda Delta hadn't placed the curse of that shackle on her, this battle would be over already. That's why I found it detestable. This game, which I can't finish without tormenting her more, is detestable.
何
What's this?
真実に
Beto's starting to look like she's in pain every time you get closer to the truth. So you're suddenly going easy on her?
なら好きなだけ
Then go easy on her as much as you can. And why don't you just let her win while you're at it? Then your little sister can have a lonely, tragic future forced on her endlessly.
そういうわけじゃね
That's not how it is. That's right. I have to return for Angie's sake as well. I know this isn't the time to start feeling compassion for Beto.
ならきっちり
In that case, make sure you kill her.
その魔女
Kill this witch without fail. Even though Beto was right there, Baron Castell spoke without holding back.
あなたの
Your goal is to kill this woman.
あなたは前
In the last game, you said it at Beto's request. You said, I'll kill you.
ああ
Yeah,
そうかもな
that may be true, but that doesn't mean you get to complain about it.
知ってる
Did you know?
爪を
When you tear one of your fingernails out, it's better to do it in one go.
あなたみたい
Pulling it out like you do,
ぐりぐり
timidly, twisting, slowly, hurts much, much more.
あなたのして
What you're doing sounds much more like torture to me.
慈悲がある
If you had any compassion, kill her all at once. That's how killing works.
余計なお世話だ
This is none of your business.
俺がこいつにどう
I'm the one who gets to decide how to perform her last
お
rites.
前も
You and that Lambda Delta witch have nothing to do with
俺
this.
が
I'll kill her.
他の誰に
I won't let anyone else do it.
その意志に変わり
As long as you don't lose that willpower, I'm betting on you. Okay?
決して忘れ
Make sure you don't forget.
このゲームに
Unless this game is resolved, you will never be
あ
released.
なたにだって
You won't be allowed to abandon this game
このゲームを
either.
放棄する
I get it.
ラムダの狙い
I know what Lambda's after. She wants to make you lose your will to fight just like Beto, to make you a pair of living dolls, to keep this world in perpetual equilibrium.
そんなの
You
嫌
don't want that, do you?
私も困る
I wouldn't like it either.
お前の都合など知ったことか
Why should I give a damn about what you want?
だが俺は
Still,
ゲームを
I
捨て
won't
ない
throw this game away. I won't abandon my responsibility to fight against Beto.
目的が同じ
I'm glad our goals are the same. So, you'll be able to kill this child without any hesitation then, right?
ということよね
そうだ
That's right. I have no way of knowing whether those words eased her pain or hurt her more, but I can tell by the dull tingling in my chest that I surely believe I've hurt her. I have no way of knowing what the silent Beato feels. If I think I've hurt her, does that mean she's actually been hurt? And if I didn't think I'd hurt her, would that mean no one's gotten hurt because of me?
で
So,
あそこで
about that Beto who's drinking tea over there with Natsuhi, you can handle that, right?
ああ
Yeah,
大丈夫
no problem. It's the same as it was with Kinzo. Beatrice doesn't exist. This is a fake illusion of a witch that Natsuhi created. Since she believed she was borrowing a witch's power, she thought up a brilliant plan to overcome hardship. It only looks like they're drinking together, because Lambda Delta, who's the game master, and the one telling the story, interpreted it that way. That's really powerful, actually. The person telling the story has always been a witch. If you could stare at the scene without a fragment of love for Natsuhi, you wouldn't see an illusion like that. That's why my eyes, all I can see is Natsuhi all alone, drinking her tea in silence. Without love, it cannot be seen. That's an interesting one, in the sense that it's like, well, if you love somebody, you trust what they say. So if Natsuhi says she's drinking tea with Beato, then of course she is, because you love her, and you don't have any reason to doubt her. Because love is lacking, it cannot be seen. You're looking at a daydream that Natsuhi is showing us. Beatrice doesn't exist there. Beato mumbled softly. It was a small voice that made it sound like she was in pain. The thorn of Bernkastel's truth had stabbed her in the chest. Yeah, that's probably true. I think your theory's right. But don't say that in front of Beato. It doesn't matter where I say it. This is Beato's world we're in. Also, it's not like I'm protecting her, but it's still possible Aunt Natsuhi really is drinking tea with some unknown person X, who calls themselves Beatrice. The scene takes place a year before everything. The number of people on the island this day has never been shown with the red truth. Sure, even Lambda hasn't said anything in red about the number of people on Rokkenjima on this day. In that case, it's possible for Aunt Natsuhi to claim that she really did drink tea with a woman called Beatrice. Just like I can't deny your theory, you can't deny mine. That means you can't say for sure whether the Beato there is an illusion or not. Oh, is this catbox theory? That might have worked on Beato, but it doesn't work on me. Why not? After all, Natsuhi is drinking tea all by herself right there. Whoa. There's a violent sound of glass breaking. And the Beato who laughed happily and cracked jokes about Natsuhi's newlywed years was erased. A lonely wind blew, and the one person who remained on the bench drinking tea with a tired expression was Aunt Natsuhi, all by herself. Damn. This brings into question, the red truth is to be believed without questioning, and is meant to be objective truth. But is the red truth subject to interpretation? In that, if Bernkastel can confidently say that in the red truth, is that because that's her truth? Or is that because it is objectively the truth? And then furthermore, because she said it in red, and let's say it was her truth, did that make Battler immediately believe it because of the rules established by the red truth? And therefore, because now Battler believes that to be true, the scene immediately changes. It is catbox theory. You can't just break catbox theory by saying something like that in red, because, well, yes and no. In that, yes, you can break the catbox theory by saying it in red by figuratively opening the box, but you're opening the box to your interpretation, right? She could have just as easily in red perhaps said, Beato is sitting there drinking tea with Natsuhi, and then confirmed the identity of her. So is the red truth not the truth in that it is irrefutable with other evidence? Or is the red truth because it makes it true when it is stated? Think about that one. Beato groaned. I could see clearly that she was in anguish. Another illusion of the witch had been smashed, drawing Beato towards death. In short, this is what the battle to let Beato rest in peace is all about. And I mean, that is kind of the battle of the red and the blue. The blue is every hypothetical possible truth, and the red is the absolute truth. I'm just saying, is there necessarily a cause and effect relationship between the blue and red truths, or largely the red truth, and what is transpiring? Or by declaring it in red, do you cement it as fact? And that's why it's so dangerous to use, because if you say it too much, you might create a contradiction and break it. Now, we do have evidence that if you try to say something in red and it's not true, you choke on your words. So that probably refutes what I'm saying. But there's a possibility that you only choke on your words when using the red if your willpower is not strong enough such that you believe what you're saying. A second ago, Bernkastel likened our fight to the torture of tearing fingernails out. If I have to tear them out anyways, then my last bit of compassion toward Beto should be to minimize that pain. In other words, even if I want to minimize her pain, I still must cause it. I have to accept that look of anguish on her face. And at the same time, I realize what a merciless thing the red truth was. Right now in this rose garden, there's no one except Aunt Natsuhi. In other words, there are no observers except for Aunt Natsuhi. I'm really liking Natsuhi now. So if that lone observer were to say that she'd had some tea with Beto, no one should be able to refute that. If there's something no one could deny, does that mean it's truth? Aunt Natsuhi is enjoying the roses and drinking tea together with Beto. How could anyone have the right to mercilessly trample that pleasant moment? The red truth is like a blade. In a battle with a witch, it's a blade that sometimes tears your theories apart, but sometimes becomes a weapon you can fight back with. I know. So what? Don't use it without reason. A blade is a tool if you use it when you're supposed to, but it's a weapon if you use it out of malice. True enough, Aunt Natsuhi wasn't really drinking tea with a witch. However, saying that with the red truth probably has nothing to do with our game. Our game is the tale of October 1986. The 2 days of the crime giving us more than enough time to injure each other, with our red and blue blades glistening. This isn't about the illusion of the witch. It's about Aunt Natsuhi's privacy. How could anyone have the right to expose that? You want to acknowledge that a witch actually existed here and drank tea with Natsuhi? Weren't you trying to deny the existence of witches? That's right. If we're talking about our game, the 2-day period from October 4th to October 5th in 1986. But I have no desire to question whether or not witches exist outside that game board. In the first place, the devil's proof argument makes it impossible to deny the existence of witches. And according to the rules of the game, saying something like what you did in red is a forbidden move that leads to a stalemate. You can't deny the existence of witches, not even with the red truth. True. I never thought I'd hear you talk so glibly about witches existing. Not bad, Lambda. You've done a good job getting Battler stuck between his human culprit theory and the idea that witches existing wouldn't be so bad. She really excels at controlling human hearts. Looks like I'd better start helping you out even more. I really couldn't care less about you two. Disappear. This game is between Beto and me. We're gonna keep this game to ourselves. Nope. What? After all, I'm enjoying this game too. Bernkastel's getting kind of freaky. She's gonna go off, I think. Bernkastel disappeared, leaving only that unpleasant laugh behind. After that, all that remained was Natsuhi sipping tea all alone. Beto, her hand still on the teacup as she stared blankly at the surface of the liquid, and me. Bernkastel and Lambda Delta. Virgilia called them your friends, but you really should choose your friends more carefully. Oh wait, maybe they actually make a good match with an ill-natured person like you. Beto didn't answer. Battler took Beto's hand, made her hold the cup again, and brought it to her lips. Beto made quiet sounds in her throat and drank another gulp. Then Natsuhi's lonely tea time ended. That truth, which was Natsuhi's alone and observed by no one else, had been defiled. In Natsuhi's world, surely, that tea party, which had been peaceful despite her annoyance at Beto for making fun of her too much, came to an end, and the two of them parted ways. However, in Natsuhi's exposed truth, she was all alone. Natsuhi tottered away. On the bench, only a single person's cup remained. That's so sad. Poor Natsuhi. I feel so bad for all of these people. Even though they're kind of horrible. Phone call. Alright. We have one more chapter for tonight. I'm going to do one more chapter. I'm going to go refill my water and use the restroom real quick. And we'll do one more chapter tonight. So I'll be right back. Siembe. People that were dealt with a bad hand trying to make the most of it while making several mistakes along the way. That's a very generous that's a very generous way to describe the Ushiromiya family. Because I don't think they were dealt much of a bad hand, but in a lot of ways they were. You're right. It's not just about money. After dashing to her bedroom, Jessica answered the phone to call that had been transferred there. Hello? Sorry to keep you waiting. Battler, what do you think you're doing, not contacting us for 6 years? How's it going? Oh, really? How the hell did I know? Hey, shut up. Haha. So, that means you'll be coming to this year's family conference, right? I mean, it's been 6 whole years. Five businessmen in expensive suits were visiting the parlor, giving Krause and Natsuhi a progress report on their business. Spreading out on the table were the blueprints and designs for a building, as well as documents related to expenditures and the like. So packed that even a teacup would have gotten in the way. Officially, they were here to give Krause a progress report, but in actuality, Krause had called them all the way over to Rokonjima so that Natsuhi could hear from them directly. That was because Natsuhi needed to hear someone other than her husband explain what condition their business was in. In other words, even though another family conference without Kinzo was approaching, their business had not yet earned them any money. After telling the guests to wait for a short while, Krause took Natsuhi out into the dining hall once again, summarized the situation. In short, they say the work is proceeding even better than we imagined. This is where my personal connection to the governor really starts to pay off. By now, it's absolutely impossible for this catch to get away from us. To the contrary, it's growing so big that in one go, we'll be able to regain not just the power of attorney, but everything we've lost up until this point as well. Krause spoke passionately. This made it seem all the more suspicious to Natsuhi. But at this time, at least, she had to admit that everything really did seem to be going well. Certainly, this business Krause boasted of had expanded in scope over the last year, and was promising an even greater payoff that had been anticipated initially. Whether it would prove to be a winner or not, investors had gathered around it, and they were rapidly gaining funds. This must be what they mean when they say money summons money. It was probably the greatest success of Krause's life so far. No, it probably would be his greatest success yet. That point was where Natsuhi's misgivings lay. True, it was certain, and as Krause had said, they wouldn't lose the catch now. However, the fish on the line had gotten too big. We'll definitely be able to reel this fish in. There's no need to rush. It's such a success that I wish I could show it to Father, were he still alive. Yes, I know. However, I believe you made me promise last year. You said you were sure you could manage something within a year. A pained look rose to Krause's face. They certainly had hooked a fat fish that guaranteed great success. However, it would require an appropriate amount of time to reel it in. Natsuhi pressed Krause, asking if there was any way for them to make money before this year's conference. But Krause kept saying that he needed just one more year. Krause planned to use this unprecedented success to catapult them into further challenges in the future. Because of this, he didn't want to do anything that would raise suspicion by making it seem like they were rushing to get money. Certainly, fortune tends to turn against people who take it for granted even in the slightest. Anxious beggars never prosper. On many occasions before now, Krause had gotten cold feet and sold off businesses that would surely have brought in a profit if he had just waited. He had, in effect, given away his winning picks. Natsuhi also knew this. She knew that guts were the thing her husband lacked most. That's why she was unable to refuse when Krause said he wanted to prudently wait just one more year. Lame. How wonderful that things are going well. It would appear I'll have to sit around here as a ghost for a little longer. You don't look too disappointed. You're fated to be chewed to bits by demons the moment you leave this world. My apologies, Father. For one more year, you might not be granted peace. It's fine. Fear not, Natsuhi. I am no longer the Ushiromiya family head. The ghost of the study should obediently follow the current head's commands. I've taken a look at Krause's charts, and they aren't bad. Even from your perspective, Father? They're pretty good even from my perspective. Everyone is confident in victory, gathering together a significant quantity of magical power. As a result, that victory is growing ever deeper, involving more and more people in magic, beginning to create gold. A perfect embodiment of classic alchemy. Oh, If you'd earned even the Golden Witch's approval, that is very reassuring. Rejoice, Natsuhi. This business of Krause's will save the Ushiromiya family from its crisis without fail. Oh. This is kind of sad because this is just her reassuring herself. Thank you very much. And if you would once again... Indeed. We'll have to overcome one more family conference, won't we? Yes. I think things went well last year, but I imagine some of the relatives will find it suspicious. I think this year's conference will be a critical time. During last year's conference, you were correct to predict that the same thing might have to happen again. Even for those who aren't witches, preparing for the worst-case scenario is one of the basics for getting in this world. So, what will you do this year? Just like last year, I will see to it that a high concentration of servants who know Father's secret are there on the day of the conference. Some of the relatives may already have noticed that Father isn't around. A careless show might actually put us in more danger of exposure. Indeed. It is said that too much is as bad as too little. Then what will you do? Unlike last year, I think we'll go with a plan that has you staying inside your study until the end. That would be suitable. Barricades are straightforward and simple, a final trump card. No matter how strongly the toxin fills this mansion, as long as the closed room barrier remains around this room, it will be impossible to deny Kinzo's existence. I guarantee that myself. However, when forming a barricade, it is inevitable that you will be surrounded. I know. Even so, I beg that both of you lend us your power just one more time. I cannot disobey the orders of the new head. Furthermore, a ghost cannot disobey the orders of the living. If you tell me not to leave this room, I will obey. Thank you very much. I'm not satisfied. If you want me to lend you my power, I won't listen to a mere request. Yes, you are the family alchemist, so I won't ask you to help. I order you to help. Your magic is the one thing we can rely on. Use that power to create an illusion of Father just one more time. Very well. I hear and obey. I find your confidence quite pleasing. From the shadows of the study, Badler watched the exchange between these three. I see. So we've made it to this year's family conference. Grandfather was in a bad mood, so he shut himself in his study and didn't appear in front of anyone. Natsuhi spoke boldly about how she would somehow overcome this year's crisis and protect the Ushiromiya family's honor until the end, while Kinzo praised her, saying that her plan looked promising. Beto also praised her, saying that Natsuhi's dignified confidence was even more well-suited for the headship than Kinzo's. However, right now, the true number of people in this room was... The moment I thought that, no. Just because I thought it, Beto grabbed her chest and moaned. Don't worry. This is still outside the game board, so I won't deny you or grandfather over there. I put my hand on Beto as she tried to hold back the pain deep inside her chest. I've already told Baron Castell. The 2-day period of the 1986 family conference is all I need to deny the illusion of the witch. In the last game, you said in red that Grandfather's dead at the start of the game for all games. However, you never mentioned whether Grandfather was alive or dead before the start time for the game. In short, even if Grandfather exists in this place right now, that doesn't create any contradictions. Whoa. Blue healing. My hand touching her let off a faint blue light, which seeped into her chest. That light tenderly wrapped itself around the splinters in Beto's chest. And I also can't deny the existence of the Beatrice in this place. Can Blue Truth do that? Can he just say that? You can say whatever you want with Blue Truth. Blue Truth is a conjecture being made. It doesn't have to have basis in anything. In fact, Blue Truth exists to be cut down by the Red Truth. The only way you win, in Battler's case with Blue Truth, is if the opponent cannot disprove it. Cannot cut it down with the red. That's why Blue is so effective at rapid fire. That's why Blue is so good at just saying literally whatever. Yeah, most things are... I thought it was an anti-witch conjecture specifically, but that makes sense. Yeah, I think literally you can say anything. And... it's just used as a conjecture to, like... most Blue Truths are completely free to, like, right? If this were being used in the game as a move, you could literally just say Kinzo died on date in red, and like you blow that the hell up. Niche. Thumbs. And I also can't deny the existence of Beatrice in this place. The number of people on that island outside the game board, in other words, before October, has not been proclaimed in red. Therefore, there's nothing strange about Beatrice existing here. I think it's so interesting. So, Battler cares for Beatrice, and I think that's just because of the experiences that they've had together. But I think that Frederick Nietzsche. But I think they could, like, I think this could allude to the idea that they might have history together, and who Beatrice really is relative to Battler, and why she was so hurt that he couldn't remember what happened 6 years. I think there's a real connection between these two individuals, or at least the individuals that they were when they existed on Earth. But who is she? Yeah, for real. That's the real big question mark that's been here since frame 1, is who could she be? I could throw a random shot in the dark. Oh, shit. Could she be his mother? That's a little bit of me pulling on just kind of like what a good story gotcha would be, and less on based on any evidence. But I mean, pretty sure I'm the only one calling Beto mommy here. No, there's plenty. But my logic there, or not logic, but just kind of like my strings that I would use to get there, are we've never seen Asumu at all. Is one. And well, no, because like it gets weird. No, it gets too weird, right? Like the fact that like Kinzo supposedly loved her and stuff, like that gets too weird. I don't think that's it anymore. I'm just thinking, I'm like really racking my brain right now, and I probably shouldn't be doing. I can see what you're cooking a little. Yeah, it's like my only thought is like, who would care this much? Like, why would Battler have this natural connection with her? And like, why would she care so much about Battler? And we've never seen Asumu. And we actually know that like the Battler here wasn't born of Asumu, right? Like that was kind of like Ushimiya Battler was born of Asumu in the real world. But like this Battler that exists in the Tea Party world, like wasn't born of Asumu and could totally have been born of Beatrice. There's just not a whole lot of logical reason for like why they would be fighting at that point. Beto's expression softened slightly. My blue light slowly began to melt the red splinters that denied the illusion of the witch. And like he's gently like he's being like, you know what? You might be right. Like here's some, you know, I wouldn't give up on our game, but outside of the game, you know, he cares about her outside of the game. And I think I think in a lot of ways he's lost sight of why he was even feuding with her in the first place. Like, I guess his family has died in front of his face so many fucking times that like he's like, oh yeah, you did kill my family, right? Whatever, that's already happened like 5 times now, so whatever. You know, I've come to like you, Beto. Beto still wore the same sad expression, but she lifted her face and looked me straight in the eye. Though she was silent, her eyes told me that her pain had subsided. The feelings that showed in her eyes were the gratitude for taking the pain away, and appreciation. Or was it surprise? for leaving you even a tiny bit of leeway for witches to exist. Unable to look directly at those pure eyes of her, I reflexively, averted my gaze. Don't get the wrong idea. I don't plan on accepting the existence of witches or surrendering. I just want to let that part slide and fight stoically so that I can win the game against you. I have no desire to bully you outside the game board as well. My fighting game opponent when he just 6-0'd me in grand finals and then calls me a loser. Beto hung her head. I was still facing away from her. However, we waited wordlessly for a while, my hand still on hers. By now, no one would believe that this sad-eyed woman was the same person as that prideful Beto. So I asked once more. Even though I said it aloud, it wasn't a question to her. I was asking myself, just what in the world were you thinking? That's right. Even though this is Lambda's game, I have to find you here. I have to find what you thought and what you were trying to do. Very soon, this game will also reach October 4th, and the 5th game will finally begin. At this time, I'll reach the end of that journey. I'm not worried about the surface level stuff, like murders and tricks. What did you, the Golden Witch Beatrice, think, and why did you do what you did? What were you hoping for? That's what I'm gonna find out. That's right. I already knew how I could reach the end of that journey. It's been made clear to me since the very beginning. This time, I'll spin the chessboard around. I'll read this tale not from my side, but from yours. And this time, I'll understand you. I'll pick my way to your heart. I won't let you feel pain. Don't worry. I won't let those witches use you as a toy anymore. Beto looked up at me again and gave a small nod. That's right. The position of the Game Master might have been snatched up by Lambda Delta. However, as long as I continue this contest with the intent of fighting against Beto, our fight will continue, no matter who controls the game. Very soon, the curtain will rise on our game. At this year's family conference, we must conceal the Master's secret once again. Yes, I understand. I'm a little doubtful that the same trick will work twice. Madam shares your concerns. Because of that, it was decided that this year, he will not leave the study even once. In other words, we'll make it seem like he's been shut away in his study the whole time? Yes. And that only ones allowed to enter the study are the 3 of us, the servants permitted to wear the one-winged eagle. Which means the 3 of us will have to perpetuate the lie about Master. Correct. The relatives will probably question you about the Master's health and mood. Make sure you answer without hesitation, and see that nothing is seen as suspicious. Yes, I understand. I'm sure you'll screw up right away, Nei-san. Maybe it's better to say you have a cold or something so you can skip that day. That's mean. Shannon wasn't just making fun of her. He had only wanted to release Shannon from the burden of working on this most serious of days. Genji, is it really necessary for Shannon to be on duty? We can manage things well enough without her. That I cannot do. Madam gave strict orders that the 3 of us be scheduled to work on that day. Yes, I am prepared to perform my duties successfully. Don't screw up. I won't. Shannon grew sullen and Cannon shrugged. Then Genji told them that they weren't taking this seriously enough. Cannon? The master we serve has already passed away. However, until he has truly passed on, we will continue to serve. That study is not empty. The master is still there, hard at work on his usual research. Make sure you take that to heart. Yes, Genji. Is George and Shannon at the restaurant? No, okay. Father has already passed away? That's insane. Settle down. It's only a possibility. It's well known that Takeda Shingen said in his will that his death was to be kept a secret for 3 years. Know about that? Is that how it went? My Japanese history isn't so great. At the time, Takeda was in the middle of a war with Oda and Tokugawa. If people learned about his death at a time like that, it'd probably have a bad impact on the war. Because of that, he left a will saying that his death should be kept hidden for 3 years. Hideyoshi did the same thing, right? He totally suppressed information about the death of his master, Oda Nobunaga, so that the enemy wouldn't find out. Quickly made peace with the Mori, and defeated Akechi in the Battle of Yamazaki. On the other hand, Shibata Katsue failed at this. The enemy, Uesugi, learned of Nobuyuki's death, so Shibata had to deal with an unexpected counterattack and get slowed down. That's why later on he suffered a great loss against Hideyoshi in the fight for the succession. Hideyoshi, who had a strong fascination with the commanders of the Sengoku period, would always show off his knowledge when he got the chance. Wincing slightly, Ava made him get back to the point. So basically, the whole time since last year's conference, I felt as though something was strange. You mean the time when Rudolph and I were talking about the inheritance and Father overheard us from the hall? That's just it. Natsuhi and the servants kept saying Father was here or there, and that he seemed to be in a bad mood. But not a single one of us relatives saw him, right? If what you're thinking is right, what does that mean? Does it mean that Nissan is trying to keep all of the inheritance for himself? Of course. Hiding someone's death is a very dangerous thing to do. And all things considered, I'm not sure Kraus would be willing to do it just to have the inheritance to himself. But it is possible. Well, it's true that Nissan has always been greedy. He always used to take things that were meant for all of the siblings, keeping them all for himself. Kraus is supposed to be the richest of the siblings. Kraus scheming to keep the inheritance all to himself to the point of accepting the risk of hiding Father's death. Sounds a tad unbelievable to me. Even so, last year's family conference was so strange. I can't help but wonder. Ava and the others were painfully aware of how reckless it would be to try to see if Kinzo when he was in a bad mood. So during last year's family conference, once they heard about Kinzo getting into a terrible mood, they never made an attempt to contact him. That's why, to this very day, they hadn't found it suspicious that Kinzo had never appeared. It certainly is worth suspecting, but I wonder if Nissan really would do something so appalling as hiding Father's death. For all his pride, that man has a coward side to him. Would he really make such a once-in-a-lifetime bet? Either way, it would probably be a good idea to make sure we get a chance to meet Father during this year's conference. Rumors are really bad. Sounds like Aniki's business is failing even worse than we'd imagined. Like he's taken a massive loss, and given it all, he's just got to try to cover up. That'll make it very difficult to borrow money from him. Yeah, I could cry. Wouldn't being in financial stress also weaken Kraus's position in certain ways? Weaken? Well, investors tend to have a keen eye. If they hear that he's actually low on funds, they won't want to have anything to do with him. I guess trust is the most important part of that business. Kiri smiled thinly. Rudolph was taken aback by that smile. He'd figured that his plan, which involved raising money to get him out of his current mess by borrowing from the affluent Kraus, would all come to nothing now that they knew Kraus himself was in a financial trouble. Confidence in Kraus's abilities might be a requirement for his own business in the future, but it isn't necessary for ours. Are you suggesting that I blackmail him? I wouldn't want to, if it were me. For one blood sibling to take another one down is no laughing matter. Rudolph felt a shiver go up his spine at Kiri's cold smile. At times, Kiri was able to throw away all compassion and think in an extremely ruthless manner. Whenever he saw that, Rudolph knew he'd never like to have her as an enemy. I'd rather not threaten Onisan if we had any other way to get money. If there were another way, we wouldn't be worrying. Don't you think it's a bit pathetic to waste time worrying about a problem when you have no other options? Rudolph stopped talking, folded his arms, and lowered his gaze. He still felt some of the terror he'd experienced thanks to Kraus's violence when they were young. And now, that same Kraus was the one he needed to threaten. Rudolph would also be fighting against his childhood trauma, so to give her husband a little push, Kiri smiled reassuringly, and perhaps coldly. I've never been a fan of doing work based on trust. It takes hard work to build up trust, but only an instant to lose it. There's no less profitable investment. You're right. All the trust in this world isn't worth a good banknote. Even though Kraus has been taking on massive losses, he ought to be capable of gathering enough money to buy us some time. Of course, he'd probably be forced to cash in all that trust he's built up so far. Ugh. This is gonna get ugly. We'll have to prepare sufficiently. We haven't been given any time or room for failure. Isn't that right? Among my Kyoto friends, I know a few who are talented in this sort of investigation. I'd rather not be indebted to people like that, but do you want to try meeting them? You can't expect people like that to offer you receipts, but I'm sure they'll dig up something that makes it worth the investment. Hello? Maria's doing well too. That's none of your business. Thank you. Huh? Well, I'll have to look at my schedule. Rosa was talking to Rudolph over the phone. Rosa rarely received calls from her older siblings, so she braced herself for something serious. Well, the truth is, I want to have a little talk about the next family conference. Without Aniki. Between Yumi and Eva? Sounds like a headache. I can't go into details over the phone, but I think you'll find it's worth listening to. Is it something good? Of course. Aniki's all for it. Nei-san. All we want is your approval. We aren't going to ask you for money or anything like that. The most important thing is that the three of us stick together. Got it? Rosa let out a sigh. She did so because, in the past, when Rudolph and Eva got into a fight with Kraus, they always used to talk to her like this right before dragging her into it. First, tell me, I stand to gain something here too, yes? Yep. The three of us will each grab 200 million out of this. If all goes well, we might be able to squeeze out more. That should be enough to handle your debt, right? And when can we expect to get this by? Of course it'll be within a year. I need it. Aniki needs it. And you need it too, Rosa. All three of our problems will be settled. So the chances of success are good enough that Nei-san's agreed to it? Now do you want to hear? I know it's a bit sudden, but let's meet next Sunday, 7 o'clock, at that coffee shop you like in Ginza. Wait, was Rosa meeting with the family when she was like... Wait, was Rosa meeting with her siblings when she left Maria all alone? No, I guess because she frequently did it. That doesn't really check out. But I wonder if some of those were like, hey, I'm going on a business, or I got to work at the business overnight, and she was concealing that she was meeting with the siblings to plan this. That's the only time Aniki's schedule and mine match. Any problems? If we're talking 200 million yen, I have no other choice but to listen. Then let's meet at 7 p.m. next Sunday at Leopold's. And Maria? You can bring her too if you want. Don't talk about money in front of that child. Whoa. She set the receiver down with a clunk a little violently. Apparently, either Eva or Rudolph had gotten a hold of one of Krause's weak points. They would probably threaten him with that at the next family conference and force him to pay up. Even before hearing the details, she knew full well that it would be nothing good. But even so, this might be her once-in-a-lifetime chance to pay back her large debts. Rosa took a notebook out of her handbag. She started to mark the day she'd be meeting with Rudolph and Eva. Then she frowned and smacked herself hard in the forehead, because written there was DZL with Maria, something she had planned to do with her daughter. Called it. Maria was in her room, playing around excitedly with the Sakutaro and the others. No! That was because she was going to go to the recently built amusement park, Delsnyland, the following Sunday. Looking at the clock, Rosa saw that it was just past 9 that night. Maria was breaking the lights out rule. After covering her face and agonizing for a while, Rosa stood up and stomped over to Maria's room. No, dude, don't do it. The room would probably be a mess as well. At least tonight, that was convenient. She's going to blame Maria's misbehavior on this greedy, grubby... Rosa, you know that meme that's like, thanks for all the... It's like a 3x3, and it's like, thanks for all the... And then the middle one's like, not you. Good memories or whatever. That's Rosa in the middle. Like, everyone else is like, Umineko is going to be like S tier for me by the end of this story, probably. And Rosa will forever remain like F tier, dude. I can't stand her. As she stood outside the door to Maria's room, listening to the happy laughter seeping through, Rosa's face twisted in anguish once again, and she looked at the floor. Then when she raised her head again, her brow was furrowed, and her face had become an ugly expression of anger. She's going to scream at Maria for like, oh, you're up past 9, no more Delsnyland. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go extort my family. Yeah, very cool. Very cool, Rosa. Actually the worst. The weather wasn't that great. According to the weekend forecast, a certain tropical cyclone would likely grow into a larger typhoon. If unhappy premonitions tend to be right, this year's family conference will probably take place in absolutely horrible weather. No, I wish a typhoon large enough to stop all boat travel would steal Rokkenjima away forever. Why would you wish that? That literally happened. If that happened, I'd be able to hide Kinzo's death as long as I wanted. If only the typhoon would keep them at bay forever. Hold on now. That's a thought. Wouldn't a typhoon locking the island away forever be super convenient for everyone? No, there's no way, right? There's no way the whole family's in on it by the end, right? Like, nobody actually died. Everyone went and lived in the other mansion and, like, divvied up all the gold or something like that. Is that a possible ending? Everybody went to live... Oh, dude, wait. That's what happened. What if all the siblings got together and said, fuck this, not worth fighting over this fortune, this golden epitaph bullshit. We know Kinzo's dead. We know there's like, you've got 1 billion debts, Kraus. We've all got debts. What better way to erase our debts than for all of us to die? There's a huge storm on this island this weekend. Let's all die, effectively. Ava, you can stay behind and accept the fortune. You have the most convenient debt, or the least inconvenient debt, or whatever. You stay behind. You go inherit it for real. Then we will all use our gorillions of dollars to invent new identities for ourselves and go globe hop and live around the world and have a grand old time. That's super unfair to Angie, who has to just assume that her family's dead the whole time. But, like, that's a story that isn't totally impossible, right? Like, it sucks for Angie. And, I mean, realistically speaking, I don't think Maria... Yeah, it's so bad for Angie. But I don't think... In hindsight, too, I don't think Maria would be capable of keeping it up. I think Maria would blow it, probably. Because she doesn't care about money or anything like that. And I think, like... I mean, like, you know, they'll be like, oh, George, you can be with Shannon. Jessica, you could be with Cannon. I can see why the episode 1 tea party plays out the way it does. Episode 1 tea party. That was where everyone was asking Battler to believe in Beatrice and melt it into butter, right? That was that one. Natsuhi let out a deep sigh. Just doing that made her heart throb. At the day of the family conference approached, the intensity of her headache just kept on increasing. Oh, that would play into that, wouldn't it? That would play into this theory. Battler... Holy shit! Battler being the one who says, guys, we can't do this. This is immoral. And Beatrice is the idea of being a corrupt rich motherfucker. And Battler doesn't want to believe in it. So, damn, wait. Is that where my sundial points now? Let's see. That sure would be convenient. And actually, the end of episode 1 talks about how everyone died. And, like, Maria's jawbone was left behind or something like that. So maybe they had to kill Maria because she wasn't going to go for it. And Rosa, being the sack of shit that she is like, yeah, whatever. I'll kill my daughter for 200 mil or whatever. Like, fuck it. Yeah. Actually, it makes a lot of sense. And Battler being the only one who won't buy into it also makes sense. And then everybody saying, like, hey, you're trapped here forever now. We are going to keep you imprisoned in Kuadorian because you won't buy into the lie. And everyone in this shitty-ass family goes and globe hops and travels. And yeah, the only people who would really... Like, I was going to say it would be unfair to Ava, but she might just be fine with it. I don't know what the deal would be with Hideyoshi and George in that case. I don't believe the Ava that we've seen up to this point would be able to stand for her son George not being a successful, prominent figure in the world when given the opportunity to do so, and instead just letting him run away with Shannon. But who knows? Maybe the Golden Land is all these fake identities in the new world. Oh man, what a timely phone call. At that time, the phone rang. Natsuhi turned off the TV and picked up the receiver. Hello? I apologize for calling during your rest. It's Genji. Is something the matter? There's a phone call for you from the external line. However, they will not state their name. They aren't saying their name. Yes. The person in question said you would know when you spoke with them. What should be done? It might be a prank. What did they sound like? I believe it was a young man. Any idea who that might be? Young man. Thinking the episode 2 tea party was Beatrice tormenting Rosa, force-feeding her siblings and stuff. That doesn't really tie into that theory. That made me think Beatrice might be Maria, but we know now that Beatrice was just Maria's friend and hated Rosa for what she did to Maria. Natsuhi didn't have a clue who that might be. In the first place, there was no one amongst her acquaintances who would do something as rude as refusing to state their name. And on top of that, a young man? As a wife, she must avoid any contact that might be considered suspicious with anyone other than her husband, much less a young man. Oh my god. Golden Girl's ass. As soon as she thought this, the phone call suddenly seemed like something dirty. But despite that, she also wanted to know what they wanted to tell her. Could it be some kind of trouble related to Krause's business? What if there was some particular reason they needed to talk to Krause's wife instead of Krause directly? No matter what it is, my duty as a wife is to listen and report to Krause. If it's some bizarre threat, I just have to firmly resolve and inform Krause that I received such a phone call. If it's something offensive, I just have to tell Genji to never send me anonymous calls again. As Natsuhi thought this, just as Genji was suggesting that he'd hang up on the man as though that's what she naturally chose, she told him to connect her to this person. She then set the receiver down. After a short while, the phone rang again. Hello. This wasn't the internal line. It was the external phone line, which Genji had redirected to her. So, it should already be connected directly with the mysterious man. However, this person on the other end didn't respond. Not liking this at all, Natsuhi spoke one more time, sounding displeased. Hello? Who is this? Tell me your name. He heard something that sounded like a sigh. He gulped reflexively. After remaining silent for a little longer, the man finally answered. Battler? It's been a long time, huh? This was the first time the man had spoken. Just how long has it been? How many years? What are you talking about? Who are you? The voice certainly did sound like a young man's, but it's hard to learn much about someone just by the voice over the phone. This was voiceovered. This originally wasn't voiceovered, so we wouldn't actually have heard the voice yet. It sounded like a young man, but it might actually be a middle school-aged boy, or a man in his prime who still had a youngish voice. No, wait, it might be too soon to be sure this is even a male. However, one thing was certain. Natsuhi could think of no one who could speak to her in an overly familiar manner like this. It'd be easy for you to tell me my name, but that would make me very sad. I don't know what you're talking about. Who are you? And what business do you have with me? If you can't tell me that, I'm not interested. I'm hanging up. This sounds like Battler. What I want is for you to remember. And what is it that you're telling me to remember? I don't know. So I have nothing to remember. Please do not say that. I am your child, am I not? What did you say? What are you talking about? Don't say things that will make me so sad, Mother. The unsettling word thrust itself mercilessly into the depths of Natsuhi's heart and started churning it about. In her entire life, Natsuhi had never been told something so unsettling. In her bewilderment, Natsuhi felt her heart beat so loudly that it felt like it would explode. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what you're planning, but I'm hanging up. I came back for revenge. Revenge for your crime of 19 years ago. 19 years ago. Natsuhi's mind went blank, and from beyond the wind howling outside the window, she most certainly heard the roar of the sea from that day. So, You actually do remember, do you not? I told you, I don't know what you're talking about. Never call here again. I've not forgotten how you've treated me 19 years ago. To curse you, I still call you mother despite that. No, because of that. The family conference will be here very soon, right? I am your son, mother. I will come on the day of the conference. After 19 years. So that I can have my revenge on you. Oh. Breathing so hard her shoulders heaved, Natsuhi slammed the receiver down and hung up. Then she hit the phone violently, knocking the receiver off, so that no more calls could come through it. I can hear the roar of the sea. The voice I heard from beyond the howling wind is certainly... even if I cover my ears, my headache won't... Completely pale, Natsuhi kept shivering as though cold. Natsuhi has a child that isn't Jessica. Lambda, are you there? Yeah, I'm here. I'm anywhere you want me to be, Baron. Then crawl into the cupboard under the kitchen floor, or in a jar of rice bran paste. Oh, you're gonna dip me in bean paste and bite into me? But then I'd rather you dip me in honey. In return, I'll cook you in sugar water. At least make it sweet soy sauce with sweet sake. That's not... Sweet soy sauce with sweet sake sounds quite good, actually. Cooking something in that? That sounds really good. I'm just hungry, I think. So what's up? You gonna make me repeat something? That's right. Is Natsuhi's phone conversation here real? Lambda Delta grinned unpleasantly as though sizing Baron Castell up. He was probably trying to tease Baron for making that demand. You refuse to repeat it? Well now, should I refuse or should I respond? As the game master, it's up to me to decide, and I get to make the decision anytime I want. Unless I state it in blue, you aren't obligated to respond. That's it. For now, you're stuck wondering about Natsuhi's secret of 19 years ago, okay? Make sure you're sitting on the edge of your seat. Of course, this fishy telephone call happened before October 4th, 1986. This is still before the start time of the game. There's basically no need to question whether it's true or false. Since you, the game master, went out of your way to show me this, I'll take it as a preparatory move for something else. It might be a trick, but I'll at least keep this move of yours in my memory. So you'll leave without turning the card over? Ouch, will it? Direct attack. After suddenly being conked on the head, Lambda Delta was bewildered. But perhaps this incomprehensible exchange was funny to her, because she quickly went back to giggling. Are you done preparing the game board now? Yeah, that's right. Now I'll finally move on to the game. On to October 4th, 1986. I wonder what number October 4th, 1986 this is. The Endless Witch, huh? Beatrice. She truly is a frightening child. Any moves from your side yet, Baron? Nope. If you've refused to repeat what I asked, then I'm done. An endo. Untap, upkeep, draw? Pog. Come. October 4th, 1986. Me when I untap my Ushiromiyas? Fighting game and card game advice right there. True. Fighting game adjacent advice. Okay. So Natsuhi has a secret of 19 years. A phone call from a young man who sounds like Battler. So the easy answer here... Hold on. The easy answer here is that this is the child of Natsuhi, not the child of Asumu. He takes on the name Ushiromiya Battler to attend the family conference. Even though everybody has said he's attending the family conference after 6 years, this individual has never attended the family conference. That's my thought. That's the easy answer, right? This fake Battler is Natsuhi's son. Now, if it was 19 years ago... she would have been with Kraus, right? Because Jessica's about that age. And I imagine she had Jessica with Kraus. Or when, like, married or dating Kraus. Probably married, because this is a traditional family. So, this is a child that she would have had either with Kraus as well, and got rid of, or outside of with somebody else besides Kraus. So an infidelitous bastard child. Very possible. Now, that's the easy answer. And I say that just based on the tone of the voice that we heard, which again, when this was originally written, you didn't get to hear that voice. So I guess the surprise here is probably going to be that Battler, probably the Battler who attended the family conference 6 years ago, is dead. Died in some kind of accident. That's why he can't remember what happened with Beatrice. That's why all this is going on. And then this Battler that's attending the family conference is the bastard child of Natsuhi and is probably out just for money. I don't know. We'll see. All right. That was tonight's stream. Thank you so much for watching. I do always appreciate it. Thank you for putting up with my BS that I had to deal with in the middle, such as work and all that. Let us stream. Raid. Thanks for the stream. Thanks for hanging out. Gonna raid Fumi. Fumi just announced that she's gonna be in the Sage AM Street Fighter Slam. So, pretty exciting stuff. Oh, that knock button is so inconveniently. Fun stream. It was a fun stream. There's a lot of stuff going on now, but I'm gonna raid out. Y'all be good to one another. I'll be back on Wednesday. I got locals tomorrow, so I'll be back on Wednesday, and then we'll do more Umineko because I can't get enough of it. Bye, y'all.